Hello, Nikolina. Welcome to this week's podcast. How are you today?
I'm doing really well. It's a bit of a chaotic one. You know how it is, dropping the kids off to daycare, starting work, trying to fit everything in while they're there.
Yep.
But I'm on with you. I'm really excited to have a chat. And yes, I'm doing well.
So excited. And like we were just talking about, I love following you on Instagram. Well, we only just found you. Well, you contacted me, which I love. And then obviously now I've been stalking you, and I love your honesty and your, like we talk about vulnerability and talking about real stuff, not the Instagram-y perfect look at my life, because it does not exist. And so the more that we can be honest about our parenting journeys, oh my gosh, every day I feel like I'm helping people all the time, being honest with that. So, and it sounds like you're exactly on the same path, which is fantastic. So you are a parenting writer for Nine Honey. So you are a mum of two, Noah and Leo, and they were both within 2 years, so under 2 and 2 years. Yeah.
Yes. So Noah's 2 now, and Leo is 9 months old. They are very close in age, but they absolutely love it and run amok together.
I'm sure they do. So was one of them a little surprise? Is it Leo, the little one? Leo, the little one?
Yeah, Leo's the little one. You know what? He wasn't. We very much planned to have two close together. Okay. I was of the thinking that when I became a mum, I was so obsessed with, you get obsessed with babies. You research everything from sleep into solids, into toys, into every aspect of it. And I just noticed that it changes so quickly. In just the year that I had Leo, there was 400 new products out and 500 new concepts out when it came to every topic. So I really wanted to be in that bubble close together. I didn't want to have to delve back in.
That is such a good idea. And actually my husband wanted to do, because we've got the three, so Eloise, Molly and Isabel, 17, 15, 11. It really only feels like yesterday, by the way. But I didn't really want to have the third particularly. Izzy, if you ever hear this, you know that you wanted. But the little one, he couldn't make me have another baby, but I just didn't know if I wanted to be a mum of three. And so we left it. But he was very much of that mindset. And I'm telling you now, he was right.
Yeah.
So it's quite a big gap. And she's feeling a bit like single child.
Yeah, I can imagine.
So it's really good to have, it's chaotic and awesome, I'm sure, but you've made a good choice. So there you go.
Right. I think it's good for parents and for kids, right? Because it's not just for us making things easier. We have all the products, we have all the knowledge, but it's also for them. You see them play together. Leo eats because he sees Noah eat. There's none of that separation.
No, that's so good. So there you go. He wasn't a surprise. He was well and truly planned. Okay. So yes, you're obviously sharing all your parenting journey, like I said, and you love writing about it, which is, I love hearing all about that. So tell me about what got you into wanting to talk about it, I suppose. Like, did it sort of organically happen and you think, oh gosh, I really want to share my stories? Like, tell me a little bit behind what made you start to really share all of that.
So before I had kids, as we were talking about Instagram before, my Instagram was all about all of the hottest photos of me. Go out with my friend and I was like, we need to get photos ASAP, and that is my post for the day. It looked very different to what it looks like now.
Yeah.
And then when I had kids, I experienced a big shift in my life. It kind of hit me like a bus. I felt like very overwhelmed, very confused. I can admit now, slightly regretful. What have I done? I've changed my life. So, getting over that was an experience in itself, and seeking therapy and making sure that I was, working on my mental health. But coming out of that, when Noah was about 4 to 6 months old, a big part of getting back to myself or trying to find myself again was just, finding the funny in my day. I've always been quite a, upbeat, giggly person, and never took things very seriously. When I had Noah, I took everything seriously.
Yeah, don't. And this is the thing, when it just hits you like a truck, like you said. You can research as much as you want these cute little babies. Oh, I love them, baby. But the enormity of the change as soon as that baby's earth side is like, what the actual is.
What the actual fudge.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, yes, I love to say yes.
so that's what I started to do. And part of that was I just started to record kind of these little videos at home with him. It was during COVID as well, so we were stuck inside the house, and it was just all those crazy moments, where I would be, trying to feed him and he's spitting puree back onto me, and he's refusing to nap, and the dog's licking his feet while he's crying on the floor. It was just all those like wild moments.
It's so happens all the time.
Chaotic.
Yeah.
And so I started sharing them online, and I just got a big response from that. A lot of people just started following along who had kids the same age. So we were literally in the exact same scenarios, and they found it really refreshing that, I wasn't, for example, and not saying, it's bad too if you're on TikTok or Instagram and doing this, but I wasn't getting ready to film a video. No, I would literally just pick up my phone in that moment and capture whatever was going on in the chaos. And they really loved that. So I just continued to do so. And luckily have a really large base and community of mums and dads who now follow along. And now they've got 2 kids, and we've just been on this roller coaster ourselves.
Oh, I love it. Isn't it beautiful? And I found that even just I've been in, I don't even like calling it a business. I've been doing my purpose for the last 6 years. And that's what I feel with Instagram too. It's like this love-hate thing, because you can just go down that rabbit hole. But the connection and the community of people that, and I feel like I'm like that older sister. Well, not a nana. Like talking about all the realities, all the real stuff, and people really love to hear it, even if it was a little bit further behind, or mental health, all that sort of stuff. It's a really important thing to talk about, It's also particularly like what you were saying when before you were mum, and that was your life, and you would have enjoyed it, and great and fun and pretty and gorgeous, but this is the reality of what can happen. And it's, have you heard the word, you would have heard the word matrescence?
Yes. Yeah.
Well, I only heard that word probably about 4 years ago, and I talk about it all the time. But I've had some of my podcasts about talking about that too. But it is one of the biggest transformations of a woman's life, and it doesn't change. This is what she was saying. Matrescence is forever.
Wow.
With as a mum, you think, it's from pregnant to baby, but this change is continually changing. Like the age of your children is so different than when they were little ones.
Yeah. And everything's a phase, and you go through the motions and the roller coasters. And as soon as you figured out one thing, the next thing comes along.
Yeah. And so talking about that, we just mentioned before we started that, and I did see that on Instagram, that your boys sleep really well.
They do.
Right.
They do.
So, and you know what, like what you had mentioned in one of your articles is like, you can't talk about it, although people do, let me tell you. I have mums coming to me that are really upset, and everyone's telling them their children sleep. So I get it, but tell me about your sleep journey, because it is really important with mental health and all the big changes to be able to implement some strategies or do whatever to get great sleep for your babies. So tell me about that journey.
So, well, when I had Noah, I was very much, when I was pregnant with him, I didn't read a thing. I was, taking the approach of, I'll figure it out, when he comes along. And then, when he came along, I was like, wait, what do you mean you don't sleep, just naturally when I put you down on this mattress? Like, I was so confused, Donna.
Yeah.
I was in this area that I knew nothing about.
Yeah.
And I, this doesn't sound very loving, but I kind of then started to take on Noah's sleep as a bit of a project.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. I just, I was researching little things, and I came across, awake times and awake windows and age appropriate routines and all these different things. So I spent a bit of time, a couple of weeks, I would say, just gathering different information. I had a few friends that had babies as well. What are you guys using? Have you looked into anything? And they would share, whether they've had contacted a consultant or whether they were reading a particular book or a guide or whatever. And I just thought, I'm just going to give it a go. And it was probably around the 10 to 12 week mark that, and everybody's different, as I say, but I started, trying for a routine that was age appropriate to him. And I guess I just started nearly instantly seeing results, and being absolutely amazed by it. I just by then thought, it's impossible for my baby to be put into a bed and just fall asleep naturally. I thought that's just not a thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
And so I just really stuck to it. I was really, you have your very rigid routine mums, and you have your flexible routine mums, and or you can have flexible mums that are not following a routine, and everybody finds what works for them. And for me, I was very much on the regimented routine. I loved it. I thrived off it. I just loved looking at the clock to the minute and looking for those tired signs. It was like a project for me.
Yeah, obsession.
Yeah, it was an obsession. And so things started to really fall into place. I made sure I put the work into it. I made sure that I, got really familiar with who he was, how much sleep he needed, because all babies are different. And it's only after quite a bit of time of applying, what you're choosing to apply, that you really start to figure that out. And I realized, and my husband and I's complete parenting life changed.
Yeah.
We were well rested, we were happier, we had time to ourselves. We had structure to our day. And that, for a couple that's very confused and has no idea what's going on, it was such a relief. I just noticed instant changes with Noah as well. When he was crying, I knew why he was crying. That's such a powerful tool.
You're explaining it so beautifully. Perfection. What you're saying is exactly that. Yeah.
I honestly felt like I was really regaining some power over the situation that I was in.
Empowerment.
Yeah. And so, and that was my journey. So when I had Leo, I very much knew straight away that I would follow the same style. He was a little bit different, and we took a couple of months to adjust to him and find something that worked for him. But I will say I say I'm lucky, but I'm not, because I put the work in, and I put the work into researching and applying techniques, and I have managed to have two beautiful boys that get an abundant amount of sleep at night, and I also get my amazing sleep at night.
And it's so important, isn't it? And and this is the thing, it really, if we take away all the noise, there's so much negative talk around it. That's why I'm so big on wanting to get this out, is that it is a biological skill they can absolutely master through our nurturing, parenting, and education. So what you've done is exactly what I only work one-on-one with families, but I support them to do that. But what you did is exactly what every family can do. They so unravel when you just unravel when you have a baby, like you said, because you're like, why is this baby not sleeping? Even breastfeeding, if you do breastfeeding, is not easy, like everything takes time. So good on you. And like you said, it's not luck. You put the hard work in, and it's life-changing, isn't it? Like, that's why I love what I do, but it is literally life-changing for relationships, for mental health, for your children. So good on you.
Yeah. And it even to the point at which my relationship with them is completely different. I'm not in any sense, we all have our frustrating moments with our kids, and they definitely pull at my strings, but I'm in no way, what's the word? I guess, angry all the time. I don't experience anger. I don't experience overtiredness and fatigue and things like that. I can look towards the end of the day and be really excited to say, well, I'm going to get some rest tonight. And even if I've had the worst day in the world, I can rely on that, and I can recharge myself. And that's just such a gift.
Oh my gosh. It is actually number one. It is number one, sleep, for me. And that's, again, my passion for the last 17 years, but for my whole mental, like, for everything. But you're so right. You're, like I said, I'm so excited that you're sharing it, because, we didn't work together. You've done this yourself. And this is a really great explanation. But this is what I say to everyone too, is if we get sleep, like you've just explained, and particularly as mothers, we can move mountains. You don't have the anxiety, the angst around every nap, going to bed. That anxiety that you feel, and it's a real anxiety, a sleep anxiety, is all the time if your baby's sleeping. And then too, when they start to sleep, you're like, oh my gosh, how did I survive that 10, 11 weeks without having some structure? And structures might be a bit of a too much of a firm word, but it's foundations.
Yeah.
Knowledge. We can implement foundations. I implement it from newborn, from in hospital, and that is just the wake times and cuddles and feeds. But once people are knowledgeable, it's amazing, isn't it? You watch them before your eyes.
It's absolutely incredible. And because I started it from the hospital with Leo, that was a game changer as well. You know, I didn't even go through the 12 weeks of torture that I went through with Noah, and that was completely different, and it completely changed my experience with Leo, being able to literally just like, you know, immerse myself in how amazing he was and how fun it was to have a newborn, and you know, all those adorable moments with them. Whereas with Noah, I literally was just consumed by anxiousness, stress, trying to figure things out, confusion. And so I felt like I lost a bit of time with him. I lost that connection with him just during those first few months. So it's my biggest advice to friends who are having kids now is you know, the bottom line is we are not sleep experts. That's not just something that comes naturally. You are, and there's people, and that's right. There's people out there for that. So give yourself that opportunity to understand it and give it a great start from when the baby is born, to avoid any of that exhaustion that apparently is just, you know, meant to be as a parent. You're meant to go through it.
No, you don't have to. And so this is the thing that, like you said, when we first started to speak, though, is what I'm finding, particularly even just the last few years, wasn't even this bad 6 years ago, the overwhelm of too much information. People do not know where to start. So you know how you started to Google and gather information, and you obviously it worked really well, which is great. When I'm speaking to people, because I offer a free chat to people, they just don't know where to start. They don't know where to start. And, you know, I could give them some advice and they get off and Google it and someone will say something opposite. So, you know, the other thing that I saw you talking about too, which I've got a post coming up, is deleting social media apps that are telling you a regression's coming, telling you this is what's going to happen. So you can't be in the moment. You can't be in the moment to go, oh, I've got a newborn, but oh gosh, at 4 months they're going to have a regression. Like that's a really big thing to just try and be in the moment, like if you can.
Yeah. That's a big issue. There's a big issue. And I fell for it as well. I had 400 apps that just told me everything that my baby was meant to be doing, from development to what they were meant to be eating, how much they were meant to be eating, when they were meant to be sleeping. And it's overwhelming. It feels like you're doing something wrong, or there's something wrong with your baby. And that's, you know, such a scary thing to be monitoring. So yeah, I totally agree. I think less information once you get your foundation is better. And my biggest advice that I give as well is staying consistent. So when you try something, or when, you know, there's many routines out there, or many consultants, and let's say, you know, somebody's working with you, Donna, is be consistent with that. Don't chop and change. Give it a great chance to actually catch on and do the work to be able to do that, because chopping and changing on your baby is not good for them either.
No,
you know?
they actually, so I'm all about flexible routines. They actually need routines. It makes them feel safer, because then they know what's coming next. That's a big thing. But all about flexibility for sure. But when you start to feel anxious and you start panicking as a mum, and I still have it with the bigger kids, they unravel. Like the house unravels. So you've got to be consistent. And that's the thing is, again, I would only do one-on-ones. I don't do big programs. People have 2 weeks with me. So that's why we always get the success. But the biggest thing, again, with the apps, and what I say to people is, find who you like and only follow them in that industry. So if you've got a lactation person or a behavioural person or a sleep person, 1 or 2 that complement each other, do not confuse yourself with too many. That's a really important thing, isn't it?
That's great.
Awesome. All right. So the most exciting thing we're going to talk about today is a book that you've written.
Yes.
My Mummy Loves Fudge. So I want to hear all about it, and why it was written and where it came from in your heart. And tell me all about the book, please.
Well,
it's been launched, pre-sale.
It's pre-sale, available for pre-sale at the moment, or pre-order. So this book I actually started to write when Noah was a newborn, and I was in that constant mess and that cloud of craziness. And I, you know, as I said before, I just noticed I was always in these wild moments of motherhood that if I sometimes stopped and I thought, if I was in a movie and someone was watching me, this would be the most hilarious scene ever. You know, it was that kind of satire of what chaos was going on in my house. And, you know, motherhood is full of wonderful, magical moments, but it is also full of
just as many.
Yeah, very, you know, frustrating moments and crazy moments that you wish would be over in a second. And, you know, when you have little kids around, especially Noah, now that he talks and copies everything that you say, you can't say any naughty words.
Yes.
You cannot, you have to hold those to yourself.
So
instead of yelling out the naughty word I used to yell out that started with F, I was yelling out at the top of my lungs, fudge. I just was, you know, any moment. It could have been I stepped on Lego, or somebody drew all over the bench top, whatever it was. I was like,
face. Yeah, I know.
And I put it into a book, and it's called My Mummy Loves Fudge. And it follows little Noah, who is literally the beautiful illustration by Cesar on the front cover, and it follows all his little moments during the day where mummy is yelling out fudge, and he's so confused because he thinks, oh, well, she must love that dessert. She's always talking about it.
It's so funny.
And
Can you read maybe one of the couple of the pages?
Yeah, of course. So we'll start at the top. It says, my mummy loves fudge. It must be her favorite dessert. She talks about it all the time. She wants it so bad, it hurts. She shouts it when she steps on toys, and when I drop my food. She yells it when she's in the car and when I do a big poo. It's great. And I love that you're laughing.
Because I love it. You know, because and that's the thing. It's exactly, it's very good that you're able to say fudge, because not that I just remember our eldest Eloise, she would have been about 2.5. And in context, I don't know if it's happened to you yet. And she never used to swear, and she doesn't. Well, don't hear her swear, but she was about 2.5, and she was trying to get a jumper off, and she's like, "Oh, for fuck's sake!" Oh, that's even in context, you know. But yes, they are little sponges. But when little one swears like that, it's naughty, but it's funny. So that is so cute.
And I wanted it to be, you know, I don't know about you, but God, I have books on Noah's bookshelf that I cannot read for another, like for the 400th time. I just couldn't. ABC 1, 2, 3 and whatever else.
No,
you know?
No.
And I just thought, there's just not a book out there that mums can enjoy and they can giggle along and have a really good time. This book, it's, you know, every single scene basically. It's really, what I love is it's really familiar. So your baby or your toddler will be able to see the scene and think, oh yeah, that's me in my cot, or that's me playing with Lego, or that's me eating my pasta. And mums can also enjoy it, saying, oh my gosh, I've also yelled that out in that moment. So it's a really nice story that both, you know, mum and bub can follow along to.
Absolutely. And again, it would be mum laughing like that, I would presume, or anyone, a caregiver, a new caregiver, whatever, reading it laughing, you know, because that's a nice bonding thing too, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it's on pre-sale, and so obviously we'll put that all in the notes, and it's very exciting. I'm very excited for you. And when's it actually launched?
So it's launching in a couple of weeks because we just have to wait for that shipment to come around. But the pre-order is on now, and it should be launching just before Mother's Day. So perfect gift for Mother's Day if you've got somebody who's about to have a baby, or if you've got, it's for your own child. But, you know, a big part of writing this book for me as well, Donna, was that I get a lot of people asking me how I even had time. You know, as I said, got 2 under 2. It's a wild time, but that's honestly why I was so excited to talk to you, because to answer everybody's question and all the mums who asked me is, honestly, I had the time because I have the gift of sleep. I have the gift of rest in my house. I have the opportunity to know that when I put my kids down for the night, I have that time to work on my own projects and work on myself. And that has just been amazing for somebody like me who, as well, you know, I love my work, I love my career, and that was a big struggle for me to let go of that when Noah was born, and to be able to have that flexibility and say, okay, well, it's not all about, you know, it is all about the kids, but it's not every minute of the day is not about the kids.
Of course.
And I have something to myself.
Yeah, and that's so important. And I talk about it quite a lot. I was a stay-at-home mum for 10 years. So, again, it was a choice, but on reflection, I completely lost myself. But then I never gave myself time ever to do anything for myself, which I would get burnt out being a stay-at-home mum. And so this is what needs to be talked about, because even when you said that, you went, well, of course they come first. Why can't we say that we can put ourselves first? It doesn't mean that we're, terrible mothers or whatever, but we're so ingrained and conditioned that we've got to be the best mums. Our kids come first. Of course they do. I would die for my children, literally. But what I've found, and even in the last year, is having that time for me. Nothing to do with housework or work, or not work, because I love work, but going for a swim at the beach or whatever. Or doing a passion. Like, you're a writer, so that would have been something that you loved doing. Yeah.
And it fulfilled me. It filled my cup, so that I had, my sister says it all the time, I had overflow to provide my kids, because that's so important.
Yes.
As you said, it's a catch-22, because I hear from mums all the time who say, no, everything's about the kids, and I want them to know that I'm doing everything for them, and they know that they're the most important thing in my world. And that's great that you teach them that. But the catch-22 to that is that if you're not taking care of yourself, well, what are you actually teaching them? Is that, oh, everything's about you, but also nothing's about me. And that's not a lesson. That's not a lesson or anything that I want my kids to witness in my house. I want them to know that you need to put yourself first, and you need to be okay with yourself and work on yourself and give yourself time and rest and look at your mental health and enjoy yourself before you put on everybody else's mask in the aeroplane, And it's so important.
And we talk about with the mask in the aeroplane, but just even as a mum, putting that mask on, like, are you really yourself? Like, with the bigger kids, we've been through so much, and they're girls, that it's like such a mirror, really tough mirror at times. But it is really, that's the biggest takeaway. As the more I talk about parenting and sharing stories, is mums have to look after themselves. You are already putting your family first. That's just a given. So why do we feel bad about doing that stuff for ourselves? And also sleep changes everybody's world. Like, if you were fatigued to the point of no sleep, you might not have had the energy to do it. I don't know.
No, because I would have taken the opportunity, which I did when Noah was very, very little. I would, as soon as he went down to bed, because I was so anxious when he would wake up next, I would literally just go to bed. I would just say, no, I need to lay down now, because who knows what's about to happen in the next 12 hours. So knowing that and having faith and knowing that I have the time to even if it's not working on projects, if it's leaving the house and having dinner with my friends, I'm able to do that. I'm able to recharge, because I know they'll be sleeping, and somebody's at home watching them, and if they even wake up, I know what to do. And I don't need to be there. I don't need to be there every minute of the day, which is such a relief.
It's such a relief. And the thing is, everybody, each to their own, everyone's doing the best they can as parenting. But when it comes to sleep, like you said, once that's mastered, and every child can, some I find a little bit harder than others, is then everything falls into place, meaning all of the stuff you were talking about. But if they get sick, if something happens, you can say, well, it's not because they're tired, there's something going on. Things become really clear, don't they? But when everyone's tired, overtired, stressed, then it's just this whole big roller coaster in the 24-hour period of cortisol through the roof for everybody, So sleep is, huge, and that's why I love it so much. Thank you so much for being a guest. I'm so excited for you and your book release, and hopefully people will purchase for their gorgeous families.
Thank you so much, Donna. It's such a pleasure to talk. It's such a pleasure to talk openly about good sleep, and being able to express that. It's a big achievement of mine, and I'm really proud of myself as a mum who's able to do that. Yeah,
absolutely. Thank you, and share that story. Lovely to meet you, and I'll speak to you soon.
Ciao.
Yeah, bye.